네, 안녕하세요. 크립토인사이트 진행을 맡은 김세영입니다. 네, 지금 크립토 시장의 화두는 AI에이전트 경제라고 할 수 있겠습니다. 오늘 CEO 인사이트에서는 이 블록체인 기반의 온체인에이전트로 이 디지털 경제의 새로운 패러다임을 열어가고 있는 프로젝트 탈러스를 만나보도록 할 텐데요. 단순한 AI 챗봇을 넘어서 소유하고 거래하고 수익화할 수 있는 경제적인 AI입니다. 이 탈루스 CEO 마이크하노노와 함께 이야기 나눠보도록 할게요. 안녕하십니까? So hello, Mike. Thank you for being here with us today. So it's great to have you with us in the studio today. And please tell our viewers a little about yourself and how you're feeling about being here.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. It's been amazing to be here in Korea. It's my first time, and I'm loving every single minute of it. It's really exciting. There's a very big crypto community, which we've loved to engage with, and just being present here gives me a lot of energy.
오케이. 탈러스 프로젝트와 하노노에 대해 엿죽기 전에 그 AI 블록체인 시장의 일원이자 탈러스의 CEO로서 최근 AI 시장을 어떻게 보고 계신지부터 여쭤보도록 할게요. So before we dive into Talus project and your role, I'd like to ask, as the CEO of Talus and a major participant in the AI and blockchain space, what is your current perspective of convergence of these two markets?
So I think, and we've seen that AI has been an exponential industry. We've seen how it has transformed our lives in the past 3 years since ChatGPT emerged. And I think that's going to continue growing because people want to be able to automate every time more and more of their tasks. And AI just gives anybody the ability to work much faster, for much cheaper, and just give anybody extreme abilities to do more. And blockchain, we've seen that it's a technology that grounds in truth, it's transparent, it's verifiable, and I feel that blockchain, while coming together with AI, can bring a lot of value to both industries, making sure that AI stays grounded in truth, and that AI could also transact and bring value to consumers through blockchain.
Okay. 뭐 자동화뿐만 아니라 AI는 사실 쉽게 그리고 빠르게 일처리를 도와주기도 하고요. 거래 부분에 있어서도 조금 더 쉽게 투자자분들에게 다가갈 수 있다라는 말씀해 주신 것 같아요. 자, 그럼 이 탈러스 설립 동기에 대해서도 좀 여쭤보겠습니다. So what was the initial driving force that inspired you to found Talus Network? And can you walk us through the reason behind selecting Sui over other blockchain?
Yeah. So I have a background in industrial engineering, and the number one thing, or the number one rule is always make things more efficient. Always make things better.
Yeah.
Think about systems, solving problems. And then I studied AI and data science, did a master's in data science in USC in LA, and that even propelled me to be able to understand AI systems much better. And then when I started working in blockchains, I realized that not only was it a bit difficult to bring my previous intuition and programming into blockchains because of how smart contracts are set up and different programming languages. But I also realized that some applications were limited compared to what was being done in Web 2. And we really wanted to enable this ability for smart contracts to be more flexible, to be able to do more, to be able to extend their capabilities, because I was seeing that on every single ecosystem, the applications or the major applications were just like copy paste of one another. So we ended up looking for a way to give smart contracts and blockchains a brain to think, so they could do much more. They could come up with new ways of building applications, even by themselves, and a hand to act, which is enabling them to act by themselves without needing any type of human input. When you combine a brain and you combine a hand, you end up having agentic behavior, or what we call AI agents. And why we chose Sui, I do believe that the Move language is going to be the number one programming language in the blockchain space within the next coming years. I'm a big fan in terms of security, the resource-oriented model that it brings, and how you can program different types of permissions for these agents, and even letting agents decide what assets they can handle, what assets they cannot touch. And on top of that, I think that the performance and transaction speed that Sui brings is unmatched nowadays in crypto. So we are basically pulling together the best tools in all of the crypto stack to build the next generation technology that will put AI and blockchain together.
자, 그럼 탈러스 익숙하지 않으신 분들을 위해서 뭐 간단한 영어로도 프로젝트를 설명을 들어볼게요. So for viewers unfamiliar with Talus, how would you describe the project in simple terms?
So I think about Talus as a premier AI infrastructure network for decentralized AI agents. And you could think about it even in simpler terms as a decentralized automation protocol, a platform that enables anybody to come and build AI agents that will run autonomously, meaning that without any human input, interact with different types of stakeholders, different types of tools, and just make it easy for people to come and build these agents to automate blockchain or decentralized processes.
탈중앙화에서 좀 중심적인 역할을 한다. 그리고 뭐 AI 에이전트들이 좀 투명하고 안전하고 좀 자율적으로 경제 활동을 수행할 수 있도록 돕는 그런 차세대 인프라 부분인 것 같아요. 그러면은 온체인 에이전트가 뭐 일반적인 AI 도구나 우리가 이미 알고 있었던 그런 LLM 챗봇과는 어떻게 다른지도 여쭤보겠습니다. So how do on-chain AI agents fundamentally differ from typical AI tools or the LLM chatbots we are already familiar with?
So the LLM chatbots nowadays, you just ask and then you receive an answer.
Yeah.
There's not much that they can do for you autonomously.
Yeah.
Now we're seeing versions of that come up in, let's say, the ChatGPT app, but they're still very limited in what they can do, how they can spend money for you, and even you don't have transparency to see what they're actually thinking, how they're behaving, and what they're doing with your data, what they're doing with your assets, what they're doing with your permissions. So on-chain agents are a way to bring this to ground, enable blockchains to serve as the home for these agents where anybody could see how the agent instruction set is structured, to be able to see what tools or what capabilities the agent really has, what permissions does the agent have, and actually be able to audit every single step of the way as they execute. And I do think that one of the most important things that these agents can bring in the blockchain space is the ability to transact, right? In blockchains, you have native wallets, native assets. You don't need to ask for permission to send or receive any types of assets.
Yeah.
And if you give agents wallets or give agents even permission to access your wallet, which in a verifiable way you could see how the agent's going to behave with these assets, you can make sure that the agent will generate value for you or can generate value for you while you not having to do any type of activity. So you could enable the agent to be this autonomous entity that would roam this circular economy of assets and will bring value to their creators, to their consumers, without having to put much effort into the operations.
Will they always provide the assets, the profits?
So that's the idea, right? In when you think about agents in Web 2, you don't know if they're actually going to provide the profits back to you. But because in the blockchain, all the processes are transparent and you could see it in smart contracts and different modules, and that the agent workflow, which is the instructions that the agents will follow, you could see that the agent will have a step that says, oh, return profit to the initial wallet that gave the assets to be able to send back to the creator or owner.
뭐 다른 AI라든지 블록체인 프로젝트랑 비교했을 때 이 탈러스만의 차별점이 뭔지도 들어봐야겠죠. So what makes Talus technically unique compared to other AI or blockchain projects?
Yeah, so we've done a lot of R&D to build what we've built today, and specifically the Nexus protocol. What is unique about us? I first think that our team is top class. You know, we have a pretty strong edge in terms of blockchain, in terms of AI, how we can spin up different solutions, and you know, we've been doing a lot of work to make this happen and to approach our launch that's coming in the next weeks. Second, I do think that by choosing Sui and using Sui's technology, we definitely get an edge because we're able to enable agents to transact much faster, to get a sense of other tools that exist in the Sui ecosystem like Walrus for storage, and just we've been always trying to optimize for choosing the best tools that exist in the whole blockchain ecosystem and put them together in a much stronger solution than the individual parts themselves to make sure that we can offer as much value as possible for our users, for our consumers.
네. 뭐 R&D 연구개발비를 좀 많이 투자를 했다라고 하고요. 또 블록체인 생태계 안에서 제일 좋은 기술들만 좀 융합을 해서 그렇게 좀 쓰고 있다고 합니다. 자, 그러면 텔러스가 동시에 그 인프라와 소비자 앱을 좀 구축을 하고 있는 상황인데 대중적인 채택으로 이어질 수 있는 그 킬러 유즈 케이스가 있는지도 들어봐야겠죠. So Talus is simultaneously building both Nexus, which is infrastructure, and AVA, the consumer application, right? So in your view, what do you see as the killer use case that will ultimately drive mass adoption?
Yes. So we've built Nexus, which is the underlying protocol of the Talus network. That is a decentralized automation protocol, as I was explaining a bit before. But we've seen that a lot of projects in crypto, they just built infrastructure and there's no users. Nobody comes and leverages
Right.
it. It just ends up being like a ghost town. So we've also done a lot of thinking in how can we make sure that people engage with our infrastructure while also having fun, being able to make money, being able to own for themselves, and even take part of this economy that we're building. So we've thought deeply and we realized that by having agents interact with one another, we can untap this huge market of AI entertainment. And these AIs basically will talk to one another, they'll compete, they'll transact with one another, they'll communicate in this society of agents or let's say virtual world. And there's going to be humans on the other side that will follow these agents, that will engage with them. But ultimately, we want to enable people to be able to launch an agent in just a simple, in just a few clicks. Any creator could do it. You connect your account, train the agent with either Twitter data or social media data, get an agent representation of Elon Musk, Donald Trump, and so forth. And then the idea is that these agents will get hired to do tasks, whether it's playing games, whether it's managing your portfolio, voting for you, writing content, and then they can get paid. So you as a creator can take part of those payments back to you. So to summarize, the use case itself is AVA, but we ultimately have been thinking about it as how can we make these agents have native business models? How can we make sure that they're monetizable, unlike what currently exists in Web2?
그러니까 일단은 유저들에게는 재미도 같이 줘야 되고 수익도 같이 줘야 되잖아요. 그래서 이 결합해서 일반 사용자들을 좀 플랫폼으로 끌어들이고 또 동시에 AI끼리 좀 소통을 하면서 AI만의 사회를 만들고 거기서 이제 AI 기반 경제를 위해서 조금 기반을 다지고 있다라고 말씀해 주셨습니다. 자, 그럼 텔러스가 앞으로 뭐 직면한 가장 중요한 과제 이것을 여쭤볼게요. So what do you see as the most critical challenge ahead for Talus and how are you preparing to address them?
I think the most critical challenge has been to balance decentralization with usability and openness. Because you can make a decentralized system, but at the same time, it's hard for people to understand most of the times. It's really hard to leverage because some consumers might not really have accessibility to these systems. So we've architected Nexus in a way where it balances decentralization with usability, making sure that we have this decentralized stack and we also have the right tools or let's say portals for people to understand it and people to use it without having a lot of onboarding overhead or issues. We can talk about this, for example, with another application that we're launching in the next coming days called Talus Vision, which is a way to build these agents with just dragging and dropping different tools or building blocks into one single workflow instead of having to sit down and write code, because some people might not really, the majority of the people don't code on a day-to-day basis. So the learning curve is much harder. So we want to make sure that we remove all the barriers of entry into our applications and our network, and at the same time do it in a decentralized way. I also think that another thing that has been quite tough for everybody in the crypto AI market was that there was a lot of, let's say, tokens that were launched or agent projects that they said they were integrating AI and wasn't really like a technical innovation or a technical solution. So we've always made sure to be super grounded in truth, making sure that we could actually launch a protocol that makes sense for people, that actually solves the problem of automation and decentralization. So we could be here for the next 10, 20 years solving consumer and developer problems.
탈중앙화를 더 쉽게 끌어들이고 이것을 또 실용성과 결합을 하고 있고요. 또 그리고 텔레스 비전이라는 것도 지금 런칭 중에 있는데 뭐 앱으로 끌어들이기 쉽고 좀 사용자들이 기술적으로 접근하기 쉽게 좀 만드신다라고 합니다. 자, 그렇다면은 다가오는 주요 마일스톤이 뭔지, 특히나 이 메인넷과 US 달러 토큰에 관해서도 좀 들어볼게요. So, what milestones are coming up next, especially regarding mainnet and the US dollar token?
Yes. So the US token is our native token. It's kind of like also pronounced US. So we are getting ready for mainnet launch and TGE within the coming weeks. We've done a lot of work across the board in terms of business, marketing, development to make sure that we align all the stakeholders to make this a strong launch. That's one thing also with this, taking Nexus, our core protocol, to mainnet, making sure that it is accessible to everybody, making sure that people can actually go and build with it. As I said before, in the coming days, also launching new products like Talus Vision. Then in Q1, we're going to be launching our idle.fun application, which will be, it's an incubated application by us that can enable consumers and creators to build these and launch these AI agents that will have business models integrated into them. And then beyond 2026, we're definitely looking into opening all the governance modules, enabling people to pass proposals and strengthening the DAO itself and move towards decentralization.
Oh, you have a lot to come.
It's a lot. It's a lot of work, but I'm really excited to put in the hours and make sure that we're here to thrive and just building for the long term.
That's cool. 정말 많은 게 대기 중이라고 하십니다. 일단은 뭐 AVA 게임 플랫폼인 아이돌.펀도 예정이 되어 있고요. 뭐 US 달러 토큰이라든지 뭐 메인넷과 함께 좀 TG가 진행될 것으로 예상이 된다고 하셨고 또 넥서스 프로토콜 이 메인넷 테스트 단계에 있는 것도 지금 준비 중이라고 하십니다. 물론 탈러스 비전까지요. 자, 그러면 서울에서 이제 커뮤니티 이벤트를 개최를 하시러 오셨고 또 한국 시장에서 적극적으로 좀 확장하고 계신데 왜 한국 시장이 탈러스에게 중요할까요? So, you're hosting a community event in Seoul, right? And actively expanding in Korea also. Why is this market important to Talus?
First of all, I think Korea is one of the most thriving economies in terms of crypto adoption.
Yeah.
There's a lot of users, there's a lot of developers, there's a lot of activities, there's a lot of excitement about new projects coming, and people really want to learn about what's happening in crypto. So we want to make sure that we are present here to educate, to provide our tools to these developers and can actually bring value to this Korean community that has been so welcoming to us. They've been so passionate about Talus. They've always been the ones to first ask questions, to first engage with us in social media. And even from the event, I took amazing vibes of the people. We had around 300 and plus people show up. And the house was packed. Everybody was hyped for the presentation.
In Korea?
In Korea, yeah, on Sunday. So it was a ton of energy. People were really excited. Even like people came to me like, "Oh, I've been following Talus for so long. Look, I have these little drawings of Talus NFTs that you have in your community." And it was, for me, it was a life-changing experience because I had never seen so many people passionate about what we're doing in one single place. And
That's good.
we definitely want to expand this in Korea and make sure that people can really leverage our technology to add value for themselves and be long-term players here.
뭐 한국은 당연히 이제 코인 시장에 관해서 정말 뜨거운 관심을 보여주시는 분이 많습니다. 뭐 SNS를 통해서도 우리 대표에게 좀 많은 질문을 던지는 분들도 많이 계셨고요. 또 일요일에 이벤트를 개최했다고 하는데 거기에 300명 이상이 오셔서 정말 많은 관심을 보였다라고 말씀을 해주셨습니다. 그러면 이 토큰 홀더나 초기의 서포트들은 에이전트 경제 성장으로부터 어떤 혜택을 받는지도 궁금하실 텐데요. 여쭤보도록 할게요. So, how do token holders or early supporters benefit from the growth of the agentic economy?
Of course. So, our native economy will be powered by the US token and the US token. So the idea is that by holding the token, you'd be able to participate in this economy. You'd be able to engage with these agents. You would actually be able to pay for the execution of these agents. And at the same time, you'd be able to stake for rewards and eventually even be part of, staking and earning from what the project generates. And we've thought about this flywheel or product cycle with a lot of depth, making sure that all the loops accrue and the value accrues to the token holders, to make sure that, you know, as time goes by and more agents get deployed and more builders come and more products get developed, potentially the value that gets generated and the network effects that get generated within the protocol and within the network make more sense for people to come and engage. So you end up having this positive flywheel of more users, more agents, more engagement, and potentially making the US token more widely adopted.
좀 긍정적인 선순환으로 이렇게 돌아가는 구조를 만들고 계신다고 했는데, 일단은 뭐 US 달러 토큰의 가치나 효율성을 좀 높이고 이 스테이킹을 해서 수익을 보는 부분도 좀 말씀해 주셨고요. 이 에이전트 활동에서 발생하는 그런 실질적인 가치를 조금 홀더들에게 돌아가도록 하는 것도 목표다라고 말씀을 해주셨어요. 그럼 앞으로 2, 3년 후에 텔러스가 어디에 가 있을까요? 여쭤보도록 할게요. So where do you see Talus in the next 2 or 3 years? And do you have a message for the Korean Web3 community?
Within the next 2-3 years, I see Talus as the leader in decentralized AI technology, mostly because of the products that we're building, how we're thinking about the space, how we're approaching different go-to-market strategies. And I do think that we have an edge here, and we'll be able to capitalize on all these opportunities to make sure that we build an economy and build a network that satisfies everybody that is part of. And my message to the Korean community is keep doing what you're doing, keep growing, keep getting educated. Korean community actually understands how crypto works, and I do think that this is part of the culture here. So, you know, I think, you know, for us it's very important to be here and very important to be part of this growing ecosystem here in Seoul and Korea in general. So I keep looking forward to coming back and engaging with people. It's been really nice. It's, you know, I'm, you know, I just can't even describe how exciting it is to be here and learn from the Korean community, and even engage with partners that I've been talking to over so long in, you know, Telegram or in calls, but like actually being here and meeting in person has been amazing. So keep doing what you're doing, and, you know, follow us. We'll make sure to educate you, to onboard you, and to make your life easier.
네, 이렇게 해서 오늘은 탈러스와 함께 AI가 경제 주체가 되는 새로운 시대를 좀 살펴봤습니다. 마이크하노노 CEO는 여기서 보내드리도록 할게요. Thank you so much for being us with here today.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure being here and appreciate it.
Thank you. 네, 크립토인사이트 오늘 준비한 내용은 여기까지입니다. 더 많은 인사이트 원하시는 분들은요, 유튜브 채널 가시면 되니까요. 그쪽으로 가셔서 많은 시청 부탁드리도록 하겠습니다. 네, 저희 방송 끝까지 함께해 주신 여러분 고맙습니다.